All right. It is President's Day. Happy President's Day, everybody. I'm one of the only people who had to work on President's Day. Uh, but, people, they want their DUI therapy to end in a timely manner and they don't want to skip a week. So, when they regularly show up on a certain day of the week and it just so happens to fall on a holiday, they don't want to miss out on that week because then that pushes back the day that they will complete all that stuff. And for some people, this means that they would have to spend an extra week on probation or an extra week with driving restrictions, an extra week with paying for an interlock system to be in their car, stuff like that. So yeah, my clientele they don't really want me to take a vacation ever, ever. They don't care. They're like, no, we need our classes, you know. And then when they get to the class, some of them they act like they don't want to be there because they really don't, but they don't want you to take a vacation and skip have them skip a week. It's like it's one thing for them to want you to be there so that they can get the butt time in a chair, but it's a completely other thing for them to actually want to be there while they're in the chair getting butt time in the chair. You know what I'm saying? So um, not all of them are like that. Some of them start out like that in my groups, and then I'm able to, you know, sell them on the benefits of therapy, and maybe uh, shed some different perspective on some of the problems that they're facing. You know, it happens, um, but it also happens that people can go through mandated therapy and completely not change at all. We call those people pre-contemplative of change. It's on the stages of change by Prochaska and De Clementi. But it's how I would in therapistese describe to another therapist that somebody has no willingness to make any positive moves in their life from the point they are at right now in order to be anything different than what they are. Um, so it's not trying to be mean or judgmental, but it is about the meanest thing I think I could say about someone. You know, I used to say pre-constipative just to you know make some of my coworkers laugh, but yeah. Um, so, hi all two watchers that I have so far. I'm sure it will get larger. You know, I've been doing this for going on uh, 2 weeks now, where you at least get something from me by midnight, even if it's just a live stream, right? I have posted at least something by midnight every day since the beginning of February, and a few days before that. But I'm trying to make it through a whole month. Hi, Dev Show, and you have named the first show that people are going to talk about that got canceled. Um, the reason why I started thinking about shows that get canceled when they're good is because I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary here on YouTube, and I have over like 3,000 videos, and By extension, if I say, all the good shows get canceled and I'm still around, I guess that means that I suck, you know, because I'm still around. I don't know. You know, I actually have this thing where, like, if I really, really like the concept of a TV show, I like to uh, avoid watching it in case it's going to get canceled in like the first 5 seasons, like for reasons other than the story arc has ended. You know, if it was originally planned to be a set number of seasons, I don't like it to get cut off just because of low viewership or the ratio of views to what their costs are, or like some actor got in trouble. I don't want anything like that to happen to the shows I watch and then have them get artificially canceled from external forces. I want the story to play out as it was written and intended to be there. And Dev Shell says, "See, and I'm gone." Yeah, and that means that you were great, you know, and you showed a little bit more skin than I do in order to get that great, as I remember it. But um, yeah, you were great, and I suck because I'm here. Um, yeah, Fjord Builder also wishes episodic television would make a bit of a comeback. Yeah. So Nick Bravo said, "Should I show more skin to be great?" Um, Listen, it worked for DevShell, you know, and I'll make the argument that he was probably old when he was showing skin. He was just clean shaven, so you can hide your age for a little while. Do a little cosmetology on yourself, maybe get a facial, maybe get some hyaluronic acid up in there on the wrinkles, and you know, do whatever it takes. You know, so yeah, I guess it catches up to all of us. Your age. I Dev Shell says he's almost 50. I am not. I will be far lagging behind you, but I am growing a gray hair for every client that I have. And now that I do a lot of group therapy and get a whole bunch of clients thrown at me every day, the pace is increasing. I'm starting to look like Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four on the sides of my fucking head. And I've got this lopsided stripe coming out my beard that just keeps on adding. It's like the upside down fucking Bride of Frankenstein look that I'm going for, you know. Anyways, um, Tim Shell says distinguished. That's distinguished is the word that my grandfather tried to use to soothe me when I was crying in the second grade because they gave me a flat top haircut. He's like, "You look distinguished." It's because my family has a family heritage of family tradition of joining the military. You know, and Nick Bravo says I look like Doctor Strange. Fuck you too. Um, Anyways, back to the point. There are two shows I'm watching right now. regardless of whether they get canceled. One is Law and Order SVU because I have watched every episode of it, and that started when I was getting my undergrad degree in psychology, and my classes were like 90% female, right? And a lot of the students that were getting a degree in psychology at the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, they were uh, they were all wanting to be Benson from Law and Order SVU. Like her and the FBI profiler named Wong at the time. This is like in the first decade of, you know, the show. Completely different cast except for Benson's still there now and Ice T. But um, they all wanted to be her. Like they should have taken criminal justice, right? And that was at UW Platteville, which is like out in the boonies, and nobody wanted to go out in the boonies. So they're like, oh, well, I'll just take psychology. But then when it came to actually being in the field, I get out of college and I go work in a job in the field of behavioral health. And it's about 50-50 men and women, right? But as far as managerial, it's actually slanted a little bit towards women here in Denver. In professorships, it's still a little slanted towards men in some of the schools I've been to, and it really does not show like in the ratio of male to female in the classes. It really is not translating into getting more of a female presence in the workplace. And what I think it is people get a degree in psychology and then marry somebody who got a degree in business. That's and they just never use their degree, or they become a high school teacher, you know, or do something part time somewhere. So I watched Law and Order SVU because I got sucked into it by my classmates, and I like trying to pick out in each episode like the couple of uh, headlines that the story was ripped from, and some of them actually were about YouTubers. There was actually a Law and Order SVU episode that was basically the story of Anita Sarkeesian and like the bomb threats that happened at the university. That happened, and like most of the YouTubers that would have recognized it, they weren't watching the show. Dev Shell, no, you were not in one. It's not the kind of show that you would want to be in, especially given that you have been, you know, uh, successfully naked on YouTube. Um, you were almost in one because one of the other YouTubers that I've met in person in the past, I think, had a thing for you, and he was coming. He was coming right at you. You know, just saying. Um, the other show that I'm watching happens on the same station. It's New Amsterdam, and I have worked in the hospital setting before, and New Amsterdam is like if a hospital director had a brain transplant and they put Bernie Sanders' brain into this hospital director's body. Only the hospital director is objectively a really cute guy, right? And so basically, he's trying to give away services at the hospital for free as much as he possibly fucking can. And it's just a neat show. The different ethics that they put forth in that show. It's basically beyond free healthcare. Like I really like where the show is going with it. They're just exploring what could be if we just you know had universal healthcare for everyone. And uh, the hospital that I last worked at, they had something similar because they had a managed Medicaid plan where if you showed up and you didn't have any health care plan, they would just apply for you and help you through the process with a navigator on staff. And then a week later, you'd be approved, only it would be backdated to before the day that you showed up in the first place. So basically, your whole visit was free. And they still do that. And it's really great when you are a counselor and you're working with a homeless client and you want to get them all these different services. You want to make a plan for, okay, you're going to go here for this service. You're going to go get your teeth fixed over here so that you don't have the pain that you're using alcohol to numb, you know, and you're going to go over here to get some uh, blood work done because, you've been a little risky lately, and you're going to go over here to, get this taken care of so you have some pain management so that we can finally get off of all this stuff. That shit takes healthcare, and I'm glad that I know how to navigate that system in order to operate like we actually have Medicare for all. Even though we don't, it's just in the inner city in Denver, de facto we have it. Um, let's see. Kevin Smart wants to know, did I start a channel called the Great Debate Community? There seems to be some dispute. I did not start a channel called the Great Debate Community. No, I was just the person who coined the term because I was putting a label on the group of atheists, theists, and related people that seem to be flagging each other on YouTube because I was basically doing a report weekly on all the flags that were happening on YouTube, and I needed a term that was more inclusive than atheists and theists because I didn't see it as a binary system where you had to be one or the other. There were people that kind of floated in between. So that was the all encompassing term that I used as a category label within my report. And that I started using that term around 2012. And then I've made videos on this channel that explain the term and predate the use of some guy named Stephen McCrae who then co-opted the term because it took a different life in the community where like people started using the term as well, and he wanted to use the term and like buy the URL for it and try to own the term so that he could himself one day be one of those famous circuit speakers of atheism. And, you know, for as much as he has spoiled the term, he can have it, right? It wasn't like I was trying to run uh, atheism by creating a different term for it, like atheist plus people or uh, people calling themselves brights or uh, liberalists or skeptics or anything like that. I wasn't trying to give it a different label to take control of it. I was just labeling it like I did the pro wrestling community and the commentary community. You know, that was the whole point of it. Yeah. Dev Shell says, I'm the atheist master. No, it's like herding cats. It's a useless endeavor to even try. And um, I think his co-opting of the term and then saying that he ran the great debate community, I think it just shows that that community in particular had so many people who wanted to be chiefs and not Indians. You know, too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Um, and I think people like Dev Shell and myself and a lot of other YouTubers, we just realized that there's more to life than that one little aspect of your life. It shouldn't be defining you. Um, God, you guys are dropping jokes in my comments too quickly for me to respond to. Hi, nerdy. Um, Nick Bravo wants to know how Ayn Rand and Sam Harris are similar. They are both authors that have sold a shit ton more books than they probably should have. And most people who buy their books have them on a bookshelf behind them for taking pictures and for entertaining uh, clients and whatnot, and they never fucking read the book. How's that for similar? Nick Bravo wants to know if TJ the Amazing Atheist is still alive. Probably, but like a lot of YouTubers, he's not showing up in the recommended section as much as he was. Uh, that's back on the canceled uh, topic, but let me just spell this out for you, like my perspective on the Amazing Atheist and a lot of other YouTubers. Here goes. People bitch about not being in the recommended section of YouTube, um, and that is killing their reach. My different perspective on this is that a lot of the stars of YouTube that were created by being put into the recommended section too much were just products of how the algorithm was back then. And they actually didn't deserve the fame that they were getting, but they became entitled to it. And so it's really off putting to me when somebody says, oh, YouTube's cracking down on our type of content now. Please give to my Patreon so that I can keep making these videos. When I'm the kind of guy who has been around for over 3,000 videos now and coming up on 10 years, and I'm making content whether or not you guys pay me for it, you know, and I see those calls to action of like, if we don't get your Patreon donation, we can't keep making these videos. I see those as really exploiting a certain percentage of their fan base who are going to give like and fall for that stuff, you know. And the kind of people who like to do that are the people who are also likely to try to manipulate people into thinking that they're the leader of something like the great debate community, um, or a leader of it, or that they've done some sort of accolade that means that they should be uh, rewarded uh, basically for the rest of their lives with more fame and more pledges. People in the comment section are talking about DevShell's charity event, the um, Madness Mayhem and charity thing that went for AIDS research, and that was a great thing. And in the past, on my YouTube channel, I raised money for things that I don't even fully support anymore, and I am sorry that I wasn't supporting something like DevShell's uh, International AIDS Initiative or Vaccine Initiative. I'm getting it wrong here, but that one is like unquestionably a good thing to donate to. Also, the Doctors Without Borders fundraisers, no problem with that. When I raised money for the Occupy movement, and then I saw the Occupy movement get co opted into something that was not what I originally raised money for, I got kind of upset. And so, uh, yeah, good on people who gave to charities that have one mission, and it's clear, it's spelled out, um, and it's not impeachable, you know, and it's not something that changes over time, you know. A couple of times you guys have been mentioning Onision in the comments now. Um, I guess canceled is something that's affecting him too. Cancel culture in the way that he's been outed for being pervy over like a fucking decade of it, and now that Chris Hansen's on the on the trail, smelling blood in the water and trying to get the FBI to do something about him, I guess. Yeah, it still really kind of gets to me when uh, Misty's partner in crime, like she had a partner at work. Uh, her daughter, her partner's daughter, wanted to give money to Onision, and this was like 2 years ago, and uh, her partner told her daughter no, and this was she wanted to sign up on Patreon, but she didn't have a bank account to be able to give her favorite YouTuber money. And just knowing that like someone that close to me was getting duped by Onision, it was just ugh. And now with Chris Hansen on the job, it just seems unreal. So my favorite shows that I watch right now, they are renewed. New Amsterdam got renewed for seasons 3, 4, and 5, and that's really really strange because it's a show that I'm watching, which usually would cancel something just like PewDiePie reporting on a meme stops the meme. You know, I'm I'm so surprised that they're continuing with those shows, but I'm sure that there's a bunch of shows that have been canceled that you guys are pissed off about. In the past, for me, um, I was upset that Penny Dreadful got canceled. Uh, of course, Firefly. That was just what, you know, such a good show. And Lie to Me, after getting awards that year, was canceled. And I'm like, that's now an award-winning show, and it got canceled the same year it was winning all these awards. You know, that kind of that said something to me because there was like you can get millions of views for a show on a certain network, and it's like a failure. But then if it's a show on like TLC that gets like, not even 10,000 views when it debuts, that's a success, you know? Um, there's all sorts of shows that I'm like, what the fuck is going on? That show still exists, and the shows that I like don't exist anymore, especially ghost hunting shows. What the fuck? You know? Nerdy D says TLC is an abortion of intellect. No, no, the History Channel is the worst. I mean, like Ancient Aliens. How long has that show been going? I'm about to check to see if Ancient Aliens was fucking canceled. That's one show that I want fucking canceled is Ancient fucking Aliens. Now I'm gonna start a fight with people in my comments because one of you must like Ancient Aliens. But all the shows on Hitler on the History Channel, and how they depict Hitler as some guy that was into like pagan ritualistic like magic and like Satanism and stuff. No, he was a fucking Catholic, you know, and they whitewashed the hell out of that fact. Dude was a he was raised Catholic. The fucking buttons on the fucking uniform for Nazis said "Gott mit uns," God's with us, right? They fucking paint him as if like there was like satanic rituals in the upper echelons of the Nazi party and shit on the History Channel, right? And they say that he was trying to fucking do seances and shit like no, he was fucking Catholic. And there are pictures of him with priests, you know. Anyways, I fucking hate the History Channel. And that should be one of the channels that I love the most because it should be just documentaries about history. But instead, Ivan says the History Channel has become the Flat Earth Network. Oh shit. Now, see, I don't ever actually watch cable anymore. Uh, my household has been unplugged since 2008. I haven't had a proper TV connected to cable, but I do get Netflix, and Netflix carries a lot of the History Channel's stuff. And when I saw that Ancient fucking Aliens has more seasons to it than most anything that I like watching, because the shit that I like watching gets fucking canceled. It made me really upset. Like, the unwashed masses of people with less than a 100 IQ, the below average people, they are determining what gets renewed or not, and they have settled on watching Ancient fucking Aliens as a block. And Ghost Hunters, yeah. See, Misty, my old lady, she used to watch Ghost Hunters and grew out of it. And one of the things she showed me was there was an episode of Ghost Hunters where on camera it looked like somebody's hoodie was being pulled, like yanked from behind, and it was exposed as being a thread inside of the hoodie. The guy had it inside of his pocket that he could just yank on it like that, and he made sure that he was like right in front of the camera when he did it, um, and it was exposed. And that guy was like fired from the ghost hunting team. And before I met Misty, before this channel was a thing, I was on a collab channel called Casper Tube, and the original theme for it that Alan came up with was he wanted to do ghost hunting and debunking of ghost hunting. And the reason why that channel went down in flames was because Alan had a, a I can't diagnose him because I haven't seen him in years, but I'm going to say it was depression that would crawl up and like kneecap him, where he didn't like seeing his own face on camera. And so he deleted the entire channel in like this bout of depression and alcoholism. And I got really upset and I was like, no, I'm going to go start my own channel. Now I'm not recreating a channel with you anymore because you just erased all of our progress. And even if you re-upload all the videos, they're not going to have the view counts on them anymore. You fucked up, and I'm starting my own channel. And that's how this channel got born. Was me being upset with uh, Alan, who was my best friend at the time, and my original channel is just for like family videos, and it's still up too. That one's from I think 2006, and then Casper's Tube was 2008 to 2009 when it got deleted, and then I started this one in 2010 because I was using my personal channel, my family channel, to interact with the uh, the atheist community that Alan had introduced me to. And I found out that I did not want my family wedding videos that I was making and like uh, just family videos meant for the sharing between family to be on the same channel as my musings about politics and atheism and whatnot. So that channel's still out there, but a lot of that channel got privated because my brother was in a custody battle and he thought there was no evidence of this, but he felt like his ex was probably going to use videos on that channel against him in some way because anything, any sort of information she could turn into, uh, part of the custody battle. So my brother asked me to private like most all of the family videos on that channel, and so I had to. You know, it was a custody battle. I don't want him to lose, but I didn't think that his fears were substantiated at all. And DevShell says almost all of his channels are private because he was considering running for office. Same thing with the Barking Atheist. He uh, he now has a military career, and he also was thinking about running for office. And so a lot of his history got privated. Yes, Nerdy, that's his name. Yeah. And he may run again, you know. And he was still out about being an atheist when he was running. That was cool. Um, the same as Kyle Kalinske, who could probably market the name Kyle Kalinske better than Secular Talk, but he holds on to the title Secular Talk as like a nod to where he came from, that atheist community that a lot of us came up in. That's one of the reasons why I don't dump the the old handle that I have, and in fact, I don't even put the spaces into the words like new channels. They started with the option of spacing out the channel's name, whereas those of us who started the original YouTube channels, we had to have no spaces in our name, and that's why I don't change it. It's just part of having an old channel. Okay. DevShell says he's on the county committee now. Yeah, all I do is I'm a delegate to political parties, and I do it so that I can film the assemblies that I go to. And other than that, that's as far as I'm going to go politically, I think. But I think credentialing as a counselor is what has changed my life in much the same way as uh, you guys who want to be uh, politicians or public servants have to change your online persona, like the ponage videos of old, right? I still have a bunch of them on my channel, but I don't go out looking for fights anymore. I don't try to start internet fights because uh, being not tolerant of other people's faith or their political views, and having that kind of a war on YouTube, it's just not a good look for somebody who has a profession, you know. And so it really has like tied my hands behind my back. I can't fucking do that shit anymore. Um, and it makes me have to put forth a different sort of image. And I'd say that my education in the years since has also changed my personality so that you know I'm a little bit nicer, even like deep down on the inside. Let's see. Wow, you guys are just chatting too fast for me. I would say that the negative things that came from the great debate community um, were the removal of certain things on YouTube, like number one, the response video option. I think we're the ones who fucking pissed in the pool. We were using response videos to tag our videos onto others in a way that, arguably was cyberbullying. Even though we felt righteous about it, we were using that feature to cyberbully people. And the thing is, we were the only community that was actually using that feature. Like, most YouTubers didn't even think to use it. And then it was abused in a different way where people were just trying to use other people's videos to catapult their own videos into, the little, two videos that were featured, the last two that were put on as video responses. And so if two other people put a response onto that video, what would happen is somebody would take their video and just put it as a response to another different video. And people were just trying to get views using the response feature by responding to videos that had nothing to do with what their video was about. They were just trying to use the response feature to abuse it to get views. So people like that kind of ruined that feature, and it didn't really get to be used by the rest of YouTube in any sort of beneficial way. And there's a lot of different uh, features on YouTube that are now missing because of that. Um, I'd say that YouTubers lost the ability to have DMs and inboxes basically because people were using uh, the feature of being able to DM people randomly, out of the blue, as you know, an avenue for spam. And they were getting really manipulative in the way that they were writing things so that people would click on their channel and check them out. And that kind of spam was the majority of traffic for the inbox. People weren't actually using the email feature that was embedded in YouTube to have actual conversations as much as that lion's share of traffic that was just fucking spam. And it was so much so that YouTube's like, you know what? We can actually just do away with that feature because not enough people are using it for having actual conversations. Unfortunately, there were some conversations in my YouTube inbox that I really should have saved and didn't because they had some pretty salient points in them regarding some of my former videos on this channel that I can't really prove were there, even if I have screenshots of them. I can't really open up my YouTube inbox and show you guys that it actually did come from that, and it wasn't just I'm not just manipulating it. And yeah, I have some of it saved in truncated emails that would come from YouTube, where like you get part of the message that somebody sent to you, but then it would cut it off at the end and say, "Click on this link to get taken to your YouTube inbox." And so I have those. But some of these messages that I got from some other YouTubers, they were pretty mean, and they were messages that they probably wouldn't have wanted made public, you know. And some of them had some admissions of guilt in them that I wish I could have right now, but they're gone forever. Um, yeah, and these were the things that changed YouTube for the worse. You know, this this was intended to be a social media platform, not a aspire to be famous and rich for just making videos about yourself platform. Um, and the majority of people making videos on YouTube now are treating it like it's possibly their lottery ticket. You know, you see how many millions of people are making videos, and you think, oh man, I might be the next viral sensation. You know, Kevin's right about the how the comment sections were a lot worse back then, and how people were manipulating the thumb system in order to get some comments to rise to the top. And there were people who had multiple sock accounts that they could try to keep their comments from being voted down. There were people who would try to get comments voted up higher on certain YouTubers' channels, the people who got the most views for the day, and they would um, just be trying to get their comment to the top so that people would click on their name and go to their channel and maybe subscribe. And people used all sorts of methods of manipulating the system instead of concentrating on their content. Um, and that's one of the things that I think that people need to realize is that uh, fame here on YouTube, when people get it, it doesn't actually translate into better content most of the time. Getting more money on Patreon doesn't usually translate into better content most of the time. I'll throw Kyle Kalinske out as an example. You know, is he going to make any kind of different video with any better production quality if you guys all decided to donate another $1,000 a month to him? No, he's going to be in some basement with the same setup, with the neon sign behind him on one side and the TV screen on the other. Not even doing green screen. He's actually using an actual TV screen behind him for different images, and he's going to make the same response videos to political stories, whether you give money to him or not. Nerdy says there's a guy on YouTube who live streams and just reads the comments that come with donations. Um, that's something that I actually associate with a few different YouTubers. One of them's Blair White, where only the comments that come with super chat payments are the ones that get read. I try to read most of the comments and respond to them, but you guys are really putting on the speed today. Um, Ivan Vane's giving shout outs. I don't know who Darth Dawkins is, but that sounds pretty cool. So yeah, now that we have even, oh, somebody fucking super chatted me and didn't put a comment on the super chat. Thank you, Dirty. You're like the second super chat that I've gotten this month. It took a while for me to see the little green thing that popped up in the chat, but I could see there's a there's a little money sign on my screen. I'm actually live streaming from my phone, by the way, because my phone works better than my laptop that the phone is sitting on, right? He's like, I just didn't know if it would work. I actually would prefer. Thank you for the money. I appreciate it, but um, here's the thing: YouTube takes like 40% of super chats, right? And Patreon takes like 10% of donations on Patreon, right? Yes, nerdy, really, YouTube is going to get 40% of that super chat, right? I did this as an experiment with super chat in the beginning. And it's the same thing with ad revenue. YouTube takes 40% of ad revenue and gives you like 60%. And that's just how this ecosystem works on YouTube. So I had some people donate to me, and then I went and looked at the analytics later, and I made a video called Super Chat Payout Percentage. It's actually one of my better videos on my channel as far as view count because people wanted to know what is the actual percentage. Well, I did it in a very controlled way. The first time I tried, I had somebody named Jordy Weeds in Canada. He donated in Canadian money. So like the Canadian dollar has the the conversion rate and all that. And so that made the math a little bit more difficult to deal with. But I did just a regular, hey, somebody donate just, a regular US dollar amount, and then we're going to make this video. And then I did it. And that video showed that it's 40% that they hold out of every super chat. YouTube gets 40%, the person gets 60%. And you could just like put a link to your PayPal and get a better exchange rate, a better payout because they take less money out of every transaction than YouTube does. You could have people like for that $5, I could have you be a patron on Patreon for 5 consecutive months for $1, and instead of 40% of $5, I would get 90% of $5, and I would end up with $4.50. Oh, Kevin Smart says the super chats dock your country or docks your country unless you use one of those VPNs. And the best free VPN that I use is Expat Shield. Expat Shield, the free VPN that doesn't pay YouTubers to uh, make little commercials in their videos for it. Expat Shield, because the BBC lets citizens of the UK watch Doctor Who on BBC.com for free. Expat Shield when you want to be British. That's my little free commercial for Expat Shield. Oh, And if you're going to use Expat Shield, remember you have to turn it off if you're going to go to southparkstudios.com to watch South Park, because what you'll get is this picture of Cartman as a police officer saying, "Respect my authority," because for some reason BBC gives its shows for free to British citizens and not to anyone else in the world. But South Park is free to people in America, but I guess they have a contract that says that somebody else is the exclusive provider of South Park in the UK. So they're not allowed to show their own show for free to citizens of the UK. They have to go through this other provider. So, yeah, doxing is more of a thing when people are pissed off at you. Seriously, if you don't want to get doxed and have all that horrible stuff happen, just don't engage in wars on YouTube. And, I did in the past, and I feel a lot better uh, right now as far as like the evil that I have spread in the world is not going to come back and harm me now, because it's been a very long time since I've picked a fight on the internet. And yeah, the more good that you put out into the world, the more will come back to you. It does kind of get boring though, being a goody two shoes. I'll admit it, but it's a lot safer. And if you have goals that you'd like to achieve in life and you don't want them ruined by a an internet army with pitchforks, then you shouldn't be engaging in fights on the internet if you can help it. Now, I understand that sometimes somebody is so wrong on the internet that you just have to stay up late banging at your keyboard until you prove to them how wrong they are. And it can take forever. You can even have to take a break from the fight, fall asleep, and then wake up tomorrow and re uh, renew your fight on the internet. But I'm telling you, the more times you do that, the less safe you are. And it might not even be the person that you started the fight with that then has to go Facebook stalk you and Google you to death, to the point where like they find something out about you and then they come back into the discussion and they throw little bits and pieces of your personal information into the discussion just to let you know they can hurt you, you know? And that tactic gets used a lot. A lot. People have no shame about making an internet discussion spill over into your life. If you are having one of those passionate discussions about polarizing things. Jamie, it's interesting that you mentioned Laughing Witch, the Hudson guy and the monkey guy that all got doxxed. I was in one of those fights on the internet, and the Laughing Witch was involved. And let me tell you, there are things that happened to me that I've talked about on my channel that to this day I am still upset about, and they happened in that fight. Um, some of the Gmail addresses that were involved in um, some of the things that happened to me are the same Gmail addresses that are used to make fake positive reviews on Yelp and on Google reviews for Laughing Witch's business. One of those email addresses uh, comes up when I try to put my own information into a credit reporting agency in order to see what they have to say about me. Somebody created a fake account and used that Gmail address and then used it again to make positive reviews for Laughing Witch and her business. And I have tried to regain control of that uh, account with that credit reporting agency, but was unable to do so because they just don't want to talk about how people can basically uh, fraud their way into getting even more personal details about you. After this happened, and I didn't even know about it, a couple of other details of my life financially were spread around by some of the people that I guess were my internet enemies, such as uh, the sale of certain houses that were in escrow when people in my family died. And these things were just thrown at me in internet arguments where I was like, what does that even have to do with this? And why would you even know that? Did you hire private investigators or whatnot? And that was not the case. They didn't. No, they just they made a fake account on a credit reporting agency and acted like they were me fraudulently, and then used that information to attack me. And it all started with arguing with people on the internet. You know, Nerdy says people are horrid. They can be. They can be. The nicer you are, the more positivity that you put out there, the more positivity that you see come back at you from people. But yeah, nerdy, you don't argue at all these days, and that's hard for me to imagine. Is is you not arguing with people because I know you have opinions, you know, and I know that we're all surrounded by idiots, you know. Kevin wants to know if it's a scientific fact that if you treat people with more respect and use a kinder demeanor, that you will get more positive results. Um, I'm just going to say that the knowledge that you catch more flies with honey has been out there for a very long time. Jamie Demeanor says Encyclopedia Dramatica is full of people like that. I'm one of the only people who is talked about on Encyclopedia Dramatica where I actually feel like most of what they said about me is pretty accurate. You know, I'm in the listing for Happy Cabby in a way where the things that went down in that, I'm like, wow, that's pretty much how it went down. And I don't have my own article anywhere on uh yeah, on Encyclopedia Dramatica, but there's a few places where I don't have much mention or any articles that I thought, well, that's strange that I don't have my own. I don't know if Rev and Shani have an entry there. You know, people were reminding me that Shani had uh, a court date and wanting me to go to it, like after we all know what it's for. Like I went to the one, and then we went to Dunkin' Donuts, me and Rev and her, and then they took me back to my car after a couple of things, and then we know what it's about, and it's not really that big of a deal, you know. When I was going to the murder trial for the Skeptic Feminist, you know, for Alexander Kopelkov, that was a way bigger deal than Shani, you know. Although when I saw uh, Shani pop up on a much larger YouTuber's video, it was Shane Dawson. I was like, what the fuck is going on? You know, her and her fight with Trisha Paytas. It's weird because there was a YouTuber get together, and the reason why Shani didn't show up to it was because she got the chance to meet Trisha Paytas in person. And when that happened, they were all like fans of Trisha Paytas, and then some falling out happened. She could have had a lot more friends that were YouTubers if she just showed up at our uh, YouTuber meetup. My ass's dragon wants to know if Happy Cabby's phone number still works. It did like 2 months ago, and what we figure is happening is that there's a bank account that doesn't know that he is dead, and his old YouTube ad revenue is being paid to it, right? Still, and people's videos will keep continue to produce views like month after month, right? Skype had this function where you could get a phone number, and he overused Skype, right? And we figure that he has a VoIP phone number that is it has no phone attached to it, right? But it's a Skype phone number, and it continues to work because the price that it costs to keep that phone number working monthly is less than what he makes, you know, after death in YouTube ad revenue. And so he's got a bank account that's being drawn upon after he's dead, and it continues to pay his phone bill. Yeah, Kevin, I need to set up that whole Facebook option thing so that somebody can get my account so that they can, at least put a message out to everyone. Hey, by the way, you know, because I've seen when people are able to do that. My S's Dragon says maybe Happy Cabby isn't dead. No, he's dead. Um, so what happened as far as confirming that Happy Cabby was dead? The death certificate that Brett Keane provided and some of the other photos of the the place, the mortuary that was involved in his cremation. People didn't believe that. And the first person to have positive uh, verification from the mortuary was actually Shayra. She called up the mortuary and verified the facts as to Happy Cabby having had services there. It was his real name, and verified the rest of the information. So yes, he's dead. But like a bunch of, oh my goodness, Danger Man 5 has given me £10, which I guess I have no idea how much money that is in US, but it could if I've only had two super chats and it was $5 another one, I guess £10 is $12. Thank you, Danger Man 5. This has been the best stream I've had, I guess, for super chats, even though I only get 60% of what you guys give me on this stream of revenue. I would so much rather have a Patreon patron. Medical Vitriol wants to know how Happy Cabby died. Um, okay, I'll be right back. I have to let a pit bull outside. Right. So, Jonathan Edwards says he thought he had a heart attack. Um, so Nick Bravo's statement is the truest right there in the comments, that he ate himself to death. But part of that process involves what Nick's also saying, um, cirrhosis of the liver, which then puts things in your body that creates varices. And these varices are like, imagine stretch marks on your veins that are closest to the top of the outer layer of skin. But then his varices were, you could see them on certain parts of his body, but they were also in his esophagus and in his colon. And so when he would go to the bathroom a few times, he would have a pool of blood in the toilet. And Nerdy says Cabby was just looking for a connection, didn't always choose a good path. Okay. Gotta go let my dogs back in. Be right back. right. Wow. So my super chat now in US dollars is up to like $30. Um, and Danger Man 5 uh, seems to think that I'm one of those people that only reads the uh, the the super chats that are paid for. No, I'm one of those YouTubers that tries to read them all. So, what you're saying is that I hope you know I was never Happy Cabby. I was the one who suspected that Danger Man 5 was Happy Cabby and doubts in my channel name, right? I have certain doubts about certain people, right? And I can tell you that I don't have any proof of who Danger Man 5 is right now. And I can't prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Danger Man 5 was Happy Cabby ever. Just had my suspicions. I also, this is a weird suspicion, and I'm not trying to start shit with anyone, right? But there was a YouTube account called Justin Templar who has been in live chats, right, with other YouTubers um, as somebody who comes off as like kind of an older guy, right? My conspiracy theory is that Justin Templar is a character who was actually in cahoots with some of the people that he was supposedly uh, putting out information on. And so, uh, anytime anyone would use any of the information that he was spamming to a whole bunch of different YouTubers, that person would then have backlash put upon them. And there goes Jamie just feeding the conspiracy theories. Um, anyways, uh, I get things given to me all the time from YouTubers that are trying to get me to start a fight with somebody else on the internet or reignite a fight. Um, and if it's important enough, I tend to forward that information to the person that it's about. But uh, I'm not taking the bait anymore. And I guess my anti drama drug is personal success in my own life. And I'm not alone. There are a lot of YouTubers who have stopped being YouTubers at all because um, they have too much to lose in their own life. Um, Nerdy D's the same. Dev Shell uh, earlier in this video, he said the same. But some of the others that I know of off the top of my head, Proportional Response, who was a YouTuber that I respected very much, after like 5 years of not posting anything, he came back a couple months ago and posted a video on his channel. Didn't get a lot of views on it, and he was basically saying, what job he had that was so important that he couldn't really be a part of our community anymore. Um, I suspect that's what happened to Das American Atheist because he was basically at the level of education he could be a professor in different places. Danger Man 5 says, sorry for trolling you with pro Happy Cabby stuff. I did kind of feel sorry for him at the time. All the best. And he comes with another super chat. Thank you very much. But I don't need super chats from anyone. in order to get a response from me. Uh, I'll say it again. I don't like the YouTubers that only answer to people who pay. Oh, nerdy, you used to have a huge crush on someone? Was it Das American Atheist or Proportional Response? Both of them were very good with their beard trimming. And, their ruggedly handsome looks. Dev Shell says, read me, Seymour, read me. Oh, proportional response. Thank you for that answer because, yeah, Das American Atheist was uh, kind of a atheist community heartthrob for a while. You know, so is Dev Shell. I know a couple of people that had their eyes on him on both sides of the fence. Nerdy says, "Read me too." Jonathan, I can't prove it, but I think my channel was part of the reason I got fired last year. Um, it happened to me as well in 2010. I was laid off from my job out of order after a columnist who he was uh, he was anonymous himself and went by the pen name Gator. He wrote about me in the local paper in Beaumont, Texas, and some of my coworkers got wind of it, and they saw that I was making fun of road signs that were anti-abortion, and that meant that I was one of those liberal people. And they found my other views that I was an atheist, and they paired me with a uh, another electrician on that job. There's a giant job at the ExxonMobil plant. I was working for a contractor named Neutron and NEW Neutron, and they they paired me with this other electrician because he was a deacon in his church, and all day he would be basically giving me pro God arguments while we were driving around to different jobs that we had to do around the plant. And then they found this way to lay people off out of order. And if you don't understand how union construction jobs work, the first person on the job is supposed to be the last person off the job. And so as they're ramping up in manpower, if you're one of the last people on the job, you're one of the first people off the job. And what they did was they would split up the work into projects. And when your project was completed, you could get laid off without uh, any of the people on the other projects being taken into consideration. So what they did was they just put you on a two-man team handling a project on the side, and then those two got laid off once that project was done and kept everybody else on the job, even though overall you're getting fired out of order, laid off out of order. And that's what happened to me because of that article being written in the local paper was I got laid off out of order. Yeah, nerdy. Certain parts of Texas are blah. Austin's not that bad, but we know this. Oh no, Jonathan, your ex boss is an elder at his church. Oh no. At one of my last jobs, I showed some of my friends the episode of 2020 that had pulled some of my footage from my YouTube channel to put me on 2020. And one of them uh, was not a good friend of mine and decided to try to report me for being on TV. And I got pulled into a meeting where somebody tried to tell me, now, if somebody's talking about how you were on TV, you can't retaliate against them. I was like, I'm the one who was telling people. Why am I in this uh, little counseling session about this? And it was because somebody, yeah, found that out about me and didn't like me and tried to, use it against me. And I couldn't understand for the life of me why, you know, being on TV in a way that did not bring disrespect to my job whatsoever would be something that somebody could get fired over. But that that brings me back to what I say about my original YouTube channel that's still out there. That was my family channel, and my brother saying to me that he was afraid that the family videos would be used against him in a custody battle. You know, there are times where people will take the most innocuous things and try to report you for them. Dev Shell always got in trouble for nudity. Uh, yeah, I've seen a bit more of Dev than I ever wanted to. John, you're on the wrong show. This is not for my 10th anniversary. That's on next month's agenda. So, Danger Man says Happy Cabby helped when uh, he needed help stopping Variablast getting children to say the N word. So, when I was given access to the Variablast channel, when he tried to turn it into like a uh, a community channel and tried to turn the the purpose of it into being away from him. Um, there was me and Watcher Azazel that also had access to the channel, like the password and everything. And I was trying to learn how to archive things that were unlisted on that channel, and I didn't get there. I didn't have the videos downloaded at all when somebody else befriended uh, the guy whose name at the time was David, and he got the channel password and he deleted the entire channel. Everything on it, every video, just deleted them. And there were things on the channel that were worse. And I wish that that mission that that person undertook wasn't as sloppy as it was because there was evidence of some really weird stuff that went on, such as David being so like outgoing with his trying to get people to say the N word that he picked the wrong kid to approach and then he got attacked with a golf club. And then while he was in the hospital bleeding from this attack from a golf club, there were people in the waiting room, and there were kids sitting across from him, and it was filmed by somebody else, but he was bleeding, and he was trying to get the kids that were in the waiting room in order to for him to get urgent care for that golf club attack. He didn't miss a beat. He saw an opportunity to get somebody else to use his creative last name and tried to get them to say the N word. While he was, about to get medical attention for getting beat for trying to do the exact same thing. So, like the loss of that footage, I felt was, you know, it was a story that needed to be told. Like, this is how really weird this guy is. He just does not get that maybe he needs to rethink his strategy. The Dev Show says he gained 40 pounds. I don't believe. I will believe it when I see it. I look like melted ice cream now. Ugh. You guys are talking about weight problems. Last week I was on prednisone and gained like 20 pounds of water weight, and then I had to pee it all out. And my face was puffier, and you can see it in all of the thumbnails that were on my channel from last week. I'm not losing fat though, I'm just losing water weight. Congratulations on losing 20 D, Nerdy D. And hi, Heretic. Yeah, I'm still on YouTube and I still do streams. And I'm up to 14 people. But good point. I got to call it. It's like an hour and 38 minutes into this stream. And I got to leave something for tomorrow. I was going to talk about the Nevada caucus, but that can still wait. We still got some time to talk about what I think is going to happen there. So that'll be the topic tomorrow, not everything that I like getting canceled. All right. Talk to you later.